Petrified Forest National Park. A park whose claim to fame is built right into the name. Might, on name value, seem like there isn't much more to it than that. And while the petrified wood is pretty amazing, leaving the park's accolades to just there would not do justice to this park's beauty or uniqueness. The history of the park only starts with the wood and spans throughout time in a way that adds a depth to this park that, like the layers in that petrified wood, is complex and rich. So before crossing off Petrified Forest from your list, come with me and my almost 2-year-old son to the Arizona desert and ride through time where the past and present converge in a symphony of colors, fossils, and memories. This is Petrified Forest National Park, where history, both ancient and recent, is etched in literal stone, just waiting to be discovered for millennia to come. Let's start with the basics and head down to Arizona in the American Southwest. Petrified Forest National Park is the third out of 3 most visited national parks in Arizona. It's often, and probably fairly, overshadowed by the world-famous Grand Canyon National Park, located about 3 hours northwest of the park, which hardly even needs an introduction. And at over 1,900 square miles and nearly 4.5 million visitors annually, it is by far the most popular national park in the state. 5 hours south of Petrified Forest is the second national park in Arizona, Saguaro National Park, which is iconic enough to make the license plate of the state.
And I guess, well, technically, so did the Grand Canyon.
And is almost a symbol of the American Southwest entirely. With nearly 1 million visitors annually, thanks largely to being so close to Tucson, it sits as the second most popular park in the state. Which finally brings us to Petrified Forest, the George Harrison of Arizona National Parks. Nestled on the old Route 66, Petrified Forest National Park is about 140 miles away from the beautiful Sedona, Arizona, or about 200 miles away from Phoenix, just north of Navajo Nation. There's not a whole lot to see around Petrified Forest, so it is a bit of a trek just to get out here and check it out, but it is definitely worth a detour. As you drive along the road, the vastness and flatness, dryness, and general emptiness means you are probably heading in the right direction. Because just when it seems like this place will never appear, like a mirage in the desert, it pops up to reveal badlands that look like they're straight out of an artist's fever dream. It's like nature took a giant paintbrush and went wild on the wild. The park is cut in half by historic Route 66, aka Interstate 40, and both halves offer some unique landscapes to check out.
There are actually 2 ways to get around this park. You can go the north entrance, which takes you around and see some beautiful painted hills behind you, and the southern entrance of the park, which we'll be going to later and doing our big hike. Park that's split up into 2 parts. This one's very easy because you get to pull over off to the side of the road and just jump out, take a look real quick at the view. So if you don't want to hike a lot, go north. A lot easier hikes, quick, easy thing. Our little kids love it. So yeah, let's go see what we're looking at.
But before we get into any further, let's jump back to the origins of this national park. This area is estimated to have had signs of life by early Native Americans as long as 8,000 years ago. It was first brought to the attention of the US government in the 1850s, and 60 short years later was designated a national monument by Teddy Roosevelt as part of the Antiquity Act of 1906. Along with Petrified Forest, places like Devil's Tower, Grand Canyon, Pinnacles, and Zion were designated protected at the same time as well. This early protection was due mostly to the petrified trees and wouldn't encompass the painted desert until 1936, when Congress increased the size of the park northwards. In 1962, Congress finally upgraded the park to national park status, and in 1970, this park once again made history by adding an additional 78 square miles of land, or about 1/3 of its total area, to become wilderness areas, the first wilderness areas in a national park system. Okay, that was my quick historical sidebar. We'll get into it a bit more later, but first, let's jump back to today and check out the northern part of this park. This park can easily be driven in a day, having 28 miles mostly of one-way roads that can get you to most of the non-backcountry trails. Once you enter the park on the northern end, you are immediately greeted by huge vistas overlooking the painted desert. It's interesting that on this side of the park, there isn't much petrified forest at all, but is instead defined by plateaus with sprawling painted vistas in basically every direction. You can hit pretty much every major view from a short walk from your car, unless you want to venture out into the backcountry wilderness areas of the park. So, what's causing these rocks to be so vibrant? It's a colorful combination of minerals that form chinle and can be up to 800 feet thick in parts of the park. It's made up of rocks like fine-grained mudstone, siltstone, and claystone, as well as harder sandstone, conglomerate, and limestone. Over time, wind and water, when this place gets it, erodes this combination, and the chinle erodes in a chaotic fashion to form badlands made up of all sorts of colors and shapes. The clay within the hills cracks constantly, which makes the plant growth on these beautiful hills hard, which is why you see such endless, plantless features throughout the park. As we continue up the road, we pass one of the major attractions in the front of the park. Right outside the visitor center, the Painted Desert Inn. Originally an inn in the 1920s, it's now a museum and snack shop to grab some ice cream and a little history. And was even the setting of the aptly named 1936 Humphrey Bogart movie, Petrified Forest.
On the edge of the American desert lies a forest turned to stone, the Petrified Forest. Grim, silent, mysterious.
I'd say it's a little less dramatic nowadays. Before we cross into the southern portion of the park where the major hiking is at, let's talk about that dividing line between the two halves of the park, Interstate 40, or Route 66. This park is synonymous with the old cross-country road trip, and the park has several Route 66 exhibits talking of its Americana heyday. The road itself cut through the park, so it wasn't much of a detour for those driving from Chicago to Santa Monica. And when you see that this is one of the only things you might see for hours in either direction, it becomes a very popular spot for travelers. And now the Interstate 40 cuts through it, it's easier to drive past and not even realize it. Kind of sad change that takes away some of the Americana vibes that defined the Southwest for much of the early and mid-1900s. But even if fewer people stumble across this park as a pit stop, those choosing to make a day or two trip can still experience the park the same as anyone has for the last several generations. In one famous area that folks are sure to remember is the Blue Mesa portion of the Petrified Forest National Park. Unlike the northern part of the park, the southern area is defined by badlands full of petrified wood, and nowhere is a better place to experience these than Blue Mesa.
All right, we are hiking through Mesa, one of the most popular walks in Petrified Forest National Park. The sun is brutal, but the landscape is breathtaking.
Don't worry, my little guy had a hat. It actually wasn't super hot, and he was very covered in sunscreen, so a great hike for kids.
Bring your kids, and you can even bring a stroller because it's got a little paved path all the way around.
Yeah, this is a great little 1.2 mile round trip trek, perfect to soak in the sights.
As you can see, it is referred to as blue, but it's blue like a blueberry donut.
Charlie, with his AI-enhanced voice because it was windy, is right. It does have the palate of a blueberry donut. Despite its short distance, its twists and turns offer plenty of unique views that punch way above its weight class. But this is probably also one of the most scenic hikes to see the namesake of the park, the Petrified Wood, which speckle the bases of the hills. But what exactly caused this place in the middle of the Arizona desert to have so much fossilized wood? Well, let's go on a trip way, way back to see some poorly rendered CGI dinosaurs to find out. This little area of the planet dates to the late Triassic period, around 225 million years ago. I wish I could say that it was during this time that Tyrannosauruses were fighting and conquering the vast desert in some kind of dinosaur Mad Max. But it was at this time that the place was more of a lush, subtropical environment. During the Triassic period, the region was home to a vast variety of dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures, though likely not the T-Rex. The most notable dinosaur fossils found in the park are those of the Coelophysis, a small carnivorous dinosaur that thrived in the area and kind of looked like this. Coelophysis fossils have been discovered in various locations within the park, providing valuable insights into the diversity of life during the Triassic. The park's petrified wood is formed from ancient trees that were buried by sediment during the same period, which is notable because it represents a time when dinosaurs were just beginning to evolve, and the environment was vastly different from the one we see today, preventing decay and allowing mineralization to occur. This process turned the wood into colorful quartz and created stunning fossilized remains. The park features some of the largest and most vivid examples of petrified wood left in the world. So let's fast forward all the way back 225 million years later to today, and you can see why the national park system really does not want you taking home any petrified wood. It's here at the end of the road at the Rainbow Forest Loop, a quick little 1.6 mile trail that takes you through some of the largest concentration of petrified wood in the park. It's a flat paved trail outside the visitor center that really gives you a chance to check up close how the rainbow tapestry of over 250 million years has survived endless eras of animal evolution, all with bright and stunning colors. Sure, are they rocks? I guess technically they are quartz rocks now, but hopefully, after talking you through some of the history of this park, realize how much of a history is in these red, purple, and yellow-hued, truly ancient trees. And that's what's so great about this park. Like the logs that carry history, the park does too. And just like those that have seen this through the generations, though maybe with less of a leave no trace mentality than today, that adds to its mystique. It's the hope that one day we leave the park just as we did, and that far into the future, generations or even other species later, we might be able to experience this phenomena up close for themselves. Or at least, let's make sure the next generation is past its history, so that when they're old enough, they'll be taking their children through the blue Mesa and beyond. I should mention before I go, yes, the Petrified Forest is a desert, so it's likely dry, but that doesn't mean that this place does not get rain. And when it does storm in the area, this arid place can get a little dicey. And with few roads to travel on, it can create a dangerous situation pretty quickly, which is exactly what happened to us. Towards the end of our trail, we started getting radio signals saying we should leave the park because of an imminent flash flood.
Runoff will quickly fill washes, intersections, and other low-lying areas and lead to flash flooding.
And the big Arizona sky opened up with severe thunderstorms.
There's just going to be a moment where it's going to be like...
You just see a river going.
Yeah.
And then there's no more.
We knew we wanted it out of the park, but traveling back on that old Route 66 road was a bit less nostalgic than on the way there. The streets were flooded as the ground couldn't absorb the water fast enough, and beside the highway, the runoff ditch was turning into a river right in the middle of the desert, and as the water continued to fall, the water had nowhere to go but on the highway, and we could do nothing but hope and wait it out as some trucks in front of us stalled out in the river. Eventually, a police car escorted some cars that were able to get around the flash flood as we pushed our rental car to the limit. But it's an important reminder that when you travel to a park as isolated as Petrified Forest, you are prepared for anything. So let's not end on this note. We got out safe. So let's instead remember that these rocks and trees and this landscape have survived this and much more for over 200 million years, which makes this place all the more special, and hopefully makes it move up that much higher on your list of national parks to go out and explore. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the adventure and it inspires you to take some of your own. If you want more, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and check out some more from my channel. Thanks.